I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hello, neighbor. Happy Monday, my friend. Happy Moon Day. And welcome to the last Moon Day of the month and today's episode of Moonday Musings. If you've never been to our witchy little neighborhood here before, hello, welcome. Hi, I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your spiritual bestie, if you will, in all things cosmic witchcraft. No, that too. Cosmic witchcraft. And I was going to say modern living. Cosmic living and modern witchcraft, my friend. And if you've been here before, especially if you've been here many times, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. If you don't already know and you're not already watching this on YouTube, I highly, highly recommend you head over to YouTube and check it out. You can watch full episodes over there. And if you are on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you always get notified every time I drop a new episode or a new video. Now, this is a special day of the month here at That Witch Podcast because as the last moon day of the month calls for, it is time for our intentional reflection and end of month gratitude roundup, my friend. This is one of the most favorite episodes of the month across the whole year since we started doing them. These episodes get like some of the most listens, and I have a sneaking suspicion that's because they might get the most shares. So if you get something out of this really, really important and beneficial reminder to take some time to reflect back on this month before charging into the next month and next season ahead, and really intentionally pulling some gratitude from your experience and everything that you've learned over this last month, send this to a friend, a loved one, someone that you think could also use this very magical reminder. Let's dive into intentional reflection, because I think that sometimes we are like, oh, to reflect back is just thinking about this past month. Like, what has this past month been like? And I would say that that's a really good first step in this process, is just kind of pondering to yourself, like, what has this last month been for me? And starting to gather your own natural thoughts around it. But I really, really encourage you to take it a step further and make a ritual out of this. So I will give you some helpful tips of different ways that you can intentionally review your last month. But I invite you to create some sort of magical ritual or working or even just spiritual, sacred ambiance and space for yourself while you do this, whether that's lighting a candle or two, or some incense, or burning some herbs, going flameless candle. I want you to know I'm a major flameless candle user. Absolutely no shame and no apologizing here about that. So don't you dare feel bad or apologize about that for yourself. Flameless candles are a godsend, a godsend for a million reasons. So set the mood, set the tone, maybe some music, maybe some scents in the air, maybe even a little intentional snicky snack when you do this. But I really encourage you to make this special, honestly. It's something that you're going to look forward to doing each month. It's going to naturally turn into self-care. And if you love listening to That Witch Podcast, you're not going to forget to do it, because we're going to do it together here on Moon Day every single month. All you need to do is provide the magical, cozy space. Now, that means you could listen to this episode in that cozy, magical space. But you can also listen to this episode and let it inspire you, and then you can intentionally run with it after you listen to it, and do this after the fact, okay? There's no right or wrong way to do it. But if you do want a little bit of help, a little bit of structure, a little bit of guidance, over on my blog at thatwitchnextdoor.com, I do have some free downloadable printable journal template guides. Journal guide templates for the first moon day of the month and the last moon day of the month. So there is a reflection and gratitude journal guide template that you can use as is, or you can let it inspire you to make your own journal guide and therefore your own template. But there's also another one in there for the first moon day of the month. So you can also snag that too for next week's Moon Day episode so that we can dive into the cosmic energy of September together. So I do invite you to making this an intentional, special practice. Just go a little bit beyond just kind of sitting and thinking about what this last month was like. Make it a little more tangible, make it a little bit more spiritual. And as you start to look forward to this, and as it kind of grows and develops into a self-care practice, you are hopefully going to find that reflecting back on your past experiences does not need to be this process of shame and punishment and criticism on yourself. It can be this intentional, sacred space that you hold for yourself, to learn from your experience and to grow moving forward. Now, when you look back, when you intentionally reflect back on this last month, or just in the past in general, I recommend physically going through a few things. And you can just skim through these things, or you can take notes. You can kind of collect them all together, whatever feels right for you. But obviously, if you listen to Moonday Musings, you know that I'm going to say looking back at the previous astrology is something that can be really, really helpful. This is what I love about Moonday with all of you. We start off the beginning of the month going through this big kind of cosmic outline of the major astrological transits that we'll be experiencing throughout the month. And we're coming at it from this forecasting is probably more accurate. What's going to happen, kind of predicting, preparing, all of those pre's, right? Because it's before anything occurs. Then throughout the month, we hit, each week, a couple of those main astrological highlights and expand and elaborate on them a little bit. And we do a nice weekly lunar check-in with each other as the moon is moving through its stages and phases. And then by the end of Moon Day, we do this intentional gratitude and reflection work with each other. And this whole entire process builds on itself. And it's extremely helpful and beneficial. I'm speaking both for myself and for the many, many, so beautiful many of you that reach out to me and let me know how much you have been enjoying this process on Moon Day as well. This is such a great way to move intentionally through your month, utilizing astrology and staying really present with it, because it's super, super, super easy. Whether you are very well versed in astrology or you are a total astrology newbie, it is so easy to get really stuck in the before astrological transits occur. Usually, if we're lucky, we're also just present enough that we might be pretty aware of them day of. Very, very rarely do we revisit the past and look back at the transits and go, okay, this is what I thought was going to happen. This is how I felt this was going to show up for me in my life. How did it? What did that actually transpire to be? I was listening to podcast episodes and watching YouTube videos about this upcoming, about this full moon in Aquarius this August. What actually transpired for me during this month's Aquarius full moon? So, by moving through this process together throughout the month, you're creating this tangible data that you can go back and look at the end of each month. And I promise you, this is where the big connections are made. This is when you'll look back and have all these full circle realization moments. Oh, that's how that energy shows up. That was so totally Aquarius or Leo or whatever. This is when some of the biggest realizations really, really are achieved. So don't forget to look back. Use an episode like this every month to look back at the astrology. This is why I recommend on our beginning of the month Moonday episode, making notes about the upcoming astrology, whether that's in your journal, your planner, your calendar, because when you get to the final moon day of the month and you do this reflection practice, you can read through stuff that you wrote down. And again, it speaks for itself. Go back through the astrology. Don't get too hung up on only living in future astrology. Now, this is what that whole entire concept is very retrograde in nature. It's like what the purpose of a retrograde represents. Like there is value in going back and re-examining again. Another really great tangible place is like your calendar and your planners, like I was mentioning anyways, and your journal entries, of course. So anywhere where you make plans and write down tasks and responsibilities, to-do lists for yourself, events and appointments that you have, engagements, ways that you spend your time. And it's cool because the calendar or the planner tends to be this very left-brained, logical version of ourselves because we tend to be relatively, depending on who we are, not all of us are super structured in how we schedule our time. But in general, it tends to be the left side of our brain that organizes all of that. While our journal entries tend to come more from our right-brained energy and this emotional, intuitive side and creative side of ourselves. And so going through like your logical data that you've acquired over the last month, and then also going back and looking through the evidence about how you felt, how you experienced it, not just what you experienced on the timeline, but how it went. That obviously that's a really clarifying practice for us. I also recommend going through your pictures as well. So you can do this using social media if you're on social media, or just your camera roll in general. If I have found that by doing this, I've started it's so interesting. I don't take any more or less pictures, I don't think, necessarily. I have gotten much more intentional about the pictures that I take, though, because I'm looking back at them every month intentionally to see how I spent this last month. And, I don't know how like good or bad or whatever that is, but like I definitely would say I've gotten more intentional with the pictures that I take and the times that I do pull out my camera, and like my discernment between like taking a moment to snap a picture of this and choosing a moment to leave my phone and camera away and only experiencing the moment without taking a picture or video. So I recommend going through your pictures, not only because of sneaky little bonus perks like that, but also because, again, going through your calendar or planner, for example, and then going chronologically through your pictures and having that direct like compare and contrast, a day in your planner might look totally different on paper than that exact same day looks in your camera roll. And that alone can also be super telling, super, super clarifying in our reflection practice. Also, if you keep track of any habits, if you do any mood trackers for yourself, if you use your phone or apps or any journals or notebooks for any type of tracking, go back through and review anything that you tracked. And then lastly, this is your monthly reminder to go back through your financial habits and decisions as well. And again, this is a huge reason for creating that safe, magical ambiance for yourself and space to do this, because this is going to help this part in particular, our intentional financial review, not feel so scary or stressful or negative or bad or fearful, whatever. It makes it simply part of the overall reflection. And this is just smart and practical, and it's also very telling. And money is part of our energy work. Our finances are part of our energy work. Our finances impact our nervous system, our environment around us, our community around us. So engaging in an intentional, sacred relationship with the tool that is money, just like you do with the tool that is your oracle or tarot deck, or the tool that is your pen or pencil, whatever, is how you make money an extension of you and your intentional lifestyle and mindfulness practice, and it not feeling like it rules you. All right. Now, let's briefly breeze through the astrology this past month. So at the very beginning of the month, Mars moved into Libra. Libra is Mars' opposite domicile sign, which means it's in detriment when it's in the sign of Libra, aka it struggles a little bit and it has to figure out how to function in new and unique and creative ways. A few days after that was our Whopper full moon in Aquarius. I highly recommend that was on Saturday, August 9th. Make sure you note that date to go back and look at your phone, your social media, wherever you might have saved any data, and take a look at those few days before and after that full moon Aquarius and kind of get a feel for what that was like for you. On Monday, the 11th, Mercury stationed direct and ended its retrograde cycle. It needed to complete its post-retrograde shadow period, and it ends that today. It exits the shadow period and is direct once more today, the 25th. Last Friday, we officially entered Virgo season, which I don't know about you, but I am a super fan of Virgo season. I love when the moon goes in the Virgo. And I love when the sun goes in the Virgo too. Now, the following day on Saturday over this past weekend was our new moon in Virgo. Going back and checking out the first episode on Moonday and our most recent episode on Moonday, where we chit-chatted about Virgo season, and the Virgo new moon would also be a pretty cool way to reflect, because you probably listened to that episode about those transits before they occurred, and now it's been a few days since they occurred, so that episode might hit a little bit differently. And finally, today on the 25th, Venus ends its cycle in Cancer and enters into the bold, the feisty, and fiery Leo. So if you need to pause this episode, come back to it, or you can just save all this information and embark on it later whenever you can. I highly, highly recommend bearing in mind and using all of this astrology, these dates as context and reference, and then going back through some of those materials and places where we gather data and evidence of our experience here and do some intentional reflection on August. And when you are ready, let's embark on some gratitude with each other. So the gratitude is the attitude, but the gratitude comes after the reflection with the intention that we take a look at how our experience has been, again, what happened, how it happened, how we felt, how we coped with that, what we're thinking about that, how we're processing it. And then we intentionally pull from that experience, from those reflections, what we're grateful for. Another way that I've been wording it in that witch school, when we chit chat about our reflection and gratitude at the end of the month together, what are you leaving behind and letting go of this month? And what are you intentionally, more importantly, what are you intentionally bringing with you into next month? More often than not, whatever it is that you're saying you're bringing with you into next month is something that you're grateful to have. It's some kind of strength or asset or support in your life. So this is where, gratitude, open table to you, my friend. Take the time to do this intentional review. And then once you've collected all this information for yourself, pull from it. What are you, based on how this month was for you? What are you intentionally bringing with you into September, into the last quarter of the year? We're about there. We're almost to Q4, which is just freaking crazy. For me, August was interesting. Pluto is and has been on top of my North Node. So my North Node is at 2 degrees of Aquarius, and my South Node, therefore, is at 2 degrees of Leo, which is exactly where our Leo new moon was. August was fascinating. I had this really interesting revelation, I think like a week into August beginning, where I was just like, oh my God, I really enjoy August. And I'm a little biased because it's my daughter's birthday in August. She's a Leo, of course. But at the same time, it was more of a revelation of like, I have always loved August. But if you ever would ask me my favorite time of year, my favorite month, I would never have said August. I would never have complained about August. Don't get me wrong. Maybe it's a little hot in August, depending on where you are, but I never would have complained about August. But I kept having these like surging realizations like, oh my God, I love August. And honestly, just in general, I'm just so grateful for this summer overall. My daughter getting older, she'll probably do more and more social activities in the coming summers and do more and more camps or workshops or classes and play dates. And eventually she'll be old enough that she'll be, she'll have a job and she'll hang out with her friends. And this was probably my last summer being as full-time stay-at-home mom. This might be my last summer. I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward, it's more like during the summer, very similar to the school year, to when she's at school and she's gone lots of parts of the days. And so I'm having, all of the overworld and underworld feelings about that. The deep, deep pride and gratitude. And of course, like grief, and allowing this early childhood chapter and early motherhood chapter to be coming to an end. That was really hard not to cry. she starts second grade this week. In New England, our school year starts super, super late. It wasn't like that in Colorado, and it's not like that in Colorado. And so she goes back to school this week in just a couple days, and she's going into second grade. Her next birthday, she'll be 8 years old. You know, we're just in total older big kid territory. Early childhood, young motherhood, or I should say early motherhood is ending now. And I remember thinking about this time when she was a baby and when she was a toddler, and just being so curious about what she'd be like and what I would be like. And so that's where a lot of my reflections are right now. I officially have enough time under my belt as a mom to really reflect back at a couple, if not a few, versions of myself as a mother over the last 7 years, which is just so, so crazy. Also, I'm so grateful for the clients and the students that I have. All of the work and my work really dials back in the summer. I work with my monthly mentoring clients, and I am in that witch school as much as I can be. I host calls a couple times a month, and I engage as much as I can. But I really, up until now, I've like really had to devote so much time to being a mom. When summer comes, and this has been just the coolest. I don't know. I really felt that summer abundance this month in the energy and nature of my community, from comments I've received on YouTube and Spotify from all of you, and your emails and your experiences and your stories you reach out to me and share with me. And then my amazing clients that I work one-on-one with, and the incredible spiritual and professional development that we get to do together. And it's just this extremely humbling experience knowing that I have all of you, from my students in that witch school to my clients and my colleagues and all of you in the neighborhood. It's massively humbling, and just absolutely incredible. I am very excited now that the school year is officially beginning. My books are officially back open as well. So if you have been wanting to book an astrology reading with me or a tarot reading with me, those books are now open for September and beyond. So you can head to thatwitchnextdoor.com and take a look at my offering suite there. But I would love to get to know you through your chart, or offer you some insight and guidance from the cards as well, my friend. Let's take a moment. I want you to either kind of use this second during the video or pause it for yourself to take some intentional deep breaths, kind of roll out your shoulders, your neck, your hands and wrists and toes and ankles. Refresh your energy a bit. Readjust your posture and position, whether you're walking or sitting or laying down, whatever it is that you're doing, however you're listening to this. Find a nice, grounded, stable position and take some really intentional breaths. Again, don't hesitate to pause this and really elongate them. Nice, deep inhales and long, luxurious exhales. When you're ready, open yourself up to any guidance, any insight, any messages you may be needing or seeking at this time. So from our Work Your Light deck, we received this super ethereal, celestial, magical card that I really apologize, I might mispronounce. Mintaken, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. Mintakens are a soul group who originated on a planet in the constellation Orion. They were the first star beings to travel to Earth and believed to be the original light workers. The Mintakans' home planet is thought to have been a water world with water so pure you could see through it for miles. For this reason, Mintakans feel most at peace and at home when in or around crystal clear water. They are here to teach us to see the potential in everything and the light in all beings. Many Mintakans have an odd longing for home and struggle with feeling like they don't belong. It is thought that this is due to their home planet no longer being in existence. If you pulled this card, it could mean that you are a Mintakan or are longing for a sense of belonging, and root chakra healing is necessary for you to feel secure and safe. Perhaps you feel this longing to find home without knowing where that is. Perhaps you've been moving around a lot and yearn for a place on Earth to call your own. If so, you are being called to connect with Mother Earth and create it for yourself now. To choose where you feel most at home and create it, rather than waiting for the feeling of belonging to come. Work your light transmission. Visualize this card in your heart and say, I allow myself to be truly here and at home on this planet. I release any grief around not belonging or feeling held and call in the perfect home. This is super, super fascinating. I have a sneaking suspicion that perhaps this month's reflection might bring about these feelings of yearning, longing for home, belonging, acceptance, approval, connection. So I really hope that you can take this in, save this video or episode, come back to this reading and this affirmation anytime that you need it, especially as you reflect on this last month and move forward into September, neighbor. I am absolutely incredibly grateful for you, my friend. Thank you for your time today and every day. I can't wait to see you next time here on That Witch Podcast. And until then, make sure that you stay safe, have fun, and of course, stay magical out there. If you enjoyed today's episode, if you learned something, or you just love That Witch Podcast, one of the best things that you can do is share the show with a friend. Just by reaching out and sharing a link or recommending us to somebody is hands down the best way to help us grow our podcast here. So you can head right now into the podcast app that you're listening to, and you can directly share this episode by using your little share link button, or you can just take a screenshot or just mention That Witch Podcast to whoever you're recommending us to, because you can find That Witch Podcast on all major podcast listening platforms. Thanks for being such a great neighbor.